time to own the chaos. The stock market is crazy and chaotic.
Oh my God, are you seeing this shit, bro? Tesla closed at $695. What the hell is going on?
Brad and Fat Man Zoom are here to help you own it.
Now with IBM getting here, I think it's just going to come more to the forefront, and people are going to get more and more eyeballs on Salesforce. Should see a really nice move.
Taking it to the suits, being relatable and hilarious.
We got D's nuts in the crew. Every crew needs D's nuts. You know what D's nuts' #1 holding is? Big C.
Get ready to own the chaos in 3, 2, 1.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Chaos. My name is Brad. That guy over there is Fat Man Zoom, and I see you in the comments. I see you about the sound effects, the sound issues. We should be fine. We should be fine. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Testing. check.
It's all in good love, baby. We're back in the studio, but we're operating on one camera. So if it's not one tech issue, it's another. Don't worry. We got you. We got you covered. No disappointments here.
Check. Mic check.
OTC puts on the internet. Yeah. So we figured out the internet issue. We think this is trial run, folks. Trial run, but. Nevertheless, Fat Man Zoom and I are getting awfully cozy. There's a lot to talk about, Fat Man Zoom.
Yeah, we got a lot going on. Happy Doge Day, man.
Whatever the hell that means.
Happy Red Zone Day, too.
Yeah, that too.
Blood red in the market today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're talking about Dogecoin a little bit.
Yep.
This made-up holiday called DogeDay. Great marketers. Netflix earnings.
Nothing like stealing a holiday from another well-known industry.
Netflix earnings reaction. We're going to do that. We have that today. We're going to give our earnings predictions. And Apple had a product launch day, which was surprisingly under the radar, maybe.
Kind of, yeah.
We didn't mention it in Stockwatch Sunday.
We did not, actually.
It wasn't enough on our radar.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that as well. But overall, a lot of people have been beat down.
Yes.
And we're going to try to bring you up, people. But first, starting five. So starting five today, we have Arfin, Rudy Brown, Sam Cisneros, Gray Nebula, and Funny Pranks Gone Wrong. Shout out to your starting five.
It was driving me crazy. I think it's just my own camera anxiety self. But yeah, so there's a lot to go over. I mean, I don't even know where we start. So Monday, stock market pulled back. Today, it's pulled back even more. And let's just call it what it is. It's a pullback. It's a correction. Let's not get crazy and call it a crash like everybody likes to call it. It's fine. I'm fine. You're fine. I'm having a hell of a day. It's not great. But overall, there's really nothing to worry about, Fat Man Zoom. I think it's just a good opportunity day.
Yeah, it is. And hopefully you have cash. I didn't do too much today. I did put out a video where I did pick up Coinbase.
Yeah, I saw that.
I felt like it was a good asymmetrical setup, so I got into that. Not a big play. Did I get into anything else? Yesterday, I did get into a few things, and you and I talked about it offline, where I'm kind of changing some things up in my portfolio, taking a little bit more risk. So I picked up Big C yesterday. I picked up a firm yesterday.
You picked up Big C?
Yeah.
Ah,
I love Big
right.
C. So starting positions, obviously they're in the red. But potentially adding to them later in this week, depending on how this week plays out. So I'm excited. We'll see how that goes, but not too much activity for me as well. One thing I do want to talk about is some people had mentioned Penn, and I know in our Discord, shout out to our Discord guys. If you want to be part of the Chaos crew, click the join button. But a lot of people, I don't want to say a lot of people, but people were just talking about, being read on a lot of things.
Yep.
And, here's the thing. I think there needs to be a delineation. I get how it can be frustrating, right? Like, we talk about certain trades, and first off, we're not psychics. So when people ask, like, when is this stock going to go off, or where's this? We don't know. You can only,
nobody
does. Can get you so far. But, like, when you say, when is this stock going to do this, there's so many factors that just that can't predict that. Nobody can predict that. But we do our best we do our best estimates based on the information we have. And the one thing I wanted to mention is, some people are like, I was thinking about bag holding versus actually being in something for the long term and a delineation on that, because somebody had mentioned, why did you hang on to something through 3 different supports? And, one thing I had mentioned in there was essentially, supports can get you out.
Yeah.
But also supports can be dollar cost average. And so it really depends on your trade strategy. And I have nothing against anybody who gets in and out. I'm not a day trader, so I wouldn't do that.
I suck at day trading.
I'm trying to I'm trying to get value out of a stock, and I'm trying to get stocks on discount. So I'm trying to establish what I think fair value is, and then I'm going to try to get the best price. Now, if it goes further than that, then it is what it is, but there's got to be a clear delineation. There are stocks that I have high conviction on. I'm not going to get out, and maybe that's holding the bag. I don't know, because Clover is certainly one that you could make the argument I'm holding the bag on.
Yeah.
But I think spec is different. If it's a spec play, you have to understand where you need to get out.
Especially the SPAC plays that products that have yet to SPAC. They go hand in hand for the most part. But a lot of the SPAC plays that people have gotten burned on. I mean, CCIV. How many YouTubers told you to buy CCIV? Yeah. Not us. And CCIV has yet to have produced a product, right? I mean, Lucid has commercials now, and they have yet to have produced one single vehicle. And that's the issue, right? So this is a market in which you go after the good shit. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of money come out of these speculative plays and going into good quality ones. I mean, the FANGs have gone absolutely apeshit over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I mean, so it just makes sense to move into good quality plays. And so that's what I've done. That's what Fat Man Zoom has done, with the exception of Clover, because he feels so strongly about it, which there's nothing wrong with. And I think there's nothing wrong with having some spec, but when your entire portfolio, and I've had a couple of people reach out to me like, I don't understand why I'm red, and they're literally in every speculative play you can imagine. Some of these people are still in Workhorse. It's just, when you look at how leveraged you guys might be in something, especially things that there's a lot of question marks behind, it really makes you really have to look at your strategy and ask yourself if a lot of this makes any sense.
Yeah, and one of the things I talked about was somebody had mentioned I'm really considering just cashing out my account and putting everything in the SPY. There is nothing wrong with that strategy.
Yeah.
Now, that to me is a question of risk tolerance and ability to handle these swings, and it has been frustrating for some people, depending on what you're in, because a lot of things have been sideways. And I think also people have been a little bit spoiled by the movement of last year after the crash. And so one thing I wanted to explain to people that are red as a fundamental understanding, I'm not saying that everybody should be red, but a couple of things to consider. I hear a lot of people who had tremendous success off of over leveraging their positions. And so people put a ton in Tesla and you were excited about it. This is my problem with people that are going all in on stuff like Doge is yes, you can run and you can win, or you can be up a lot, but you may end up losing because you're going to, just as much as it can go up, it can go down. And I was explaining the philosophy of think about a stock has a beta. Yeah. And a beta is basically its volatility in relation to the market, right? And so value stocks have a very low beta. So if the stock market moves up, it might not move up as much or just right in line with it. But when you have growth stocks and tech stocks, their beta is higher. So the volatility is greater. So if the market goes up by 1%, your stock may go up by 3%. Right. It works the other way too. And so your account, for all intents and purposes, has a beta, and its beta is higher than 1, which means that it's going to be volatile. So if you're going to be happy with the gains and outperforming the market, you got to also remember that there's a potential that you'll actually, when the market goes down, you may be lower. Now, I'm not saying you should be okay with that. You still need to hedge and you need to manage your risk. Right. But it's not. It's also a part of the game. It's a part of it. And it's normal if it's a little bit more red than the market is.
Yeah. It's all great stuff. Which, by the way, if you got something out of that, certainly appreciate you giving us a thumbs up. And yeah, everything you said was absolutely right. I mean, if you're going to get into something volatile, expect it to have crazy moves upward, much stronger than the overall market and some of these value stocks. But you're going to have to also understand that the risk that's involved is that it could go the other way as well. So So yeah, all good stuff. Mike, thanks for the donation.
Did we have somebody join the crew? We had somebody come back. But
Somebody, did we have somebody?
Oh, that was a donation.
It was a donation.
That
It
was
was Mike. Thanks for the
at the very beginning.
€5 donation. Yes, he would like me to repeat his entire name, but I'm not going to do that. Thanks, Mike.
But DogeDay, let me tell you, I think that's a marketing ploy.
Yes, 100%.
And I think it's smart.
Yeah.
Like, what else can we do to, whatever?
But why on 420? Like 420 has always been, it's MJ's day.
Speaking of MJ, shout out to a sponsor. We got some product donated from my boy Billy from Industry Hemp. Industry Hemp, water soluble CBD
On 420.
You let us know how this is, brother.
THC free.
But we appreciate it. We got support coming in.
We do have support coming in. This is pretty awesome stuff, out of the goodness of his heart. We certainly appreciate it.
We'll
Thanks
be throwing
so
it in some drinks. So this is meant for cocktails. So we'll be throwing this bad boy in some drinks. And for a second I thought that's not a clover. That's not a 4-leaf clover. I quick glanced. But anyways, what? Well, I have my theories on why 420, but the Doge didn't respond like I think they expected it. However, we'll see if it stays above that level because there might be some more pain coming if it doesn't.
It's not looking good on the intraday. And here's what I'll say about Doge. We've obviously dogged it a lot. I'm just full of dad jokes lately. We've dogged it a lot. And, obviously it went up and went crazy. If you bought $1,000 worth of Doge at the first of the year, you could have bought a Tesla with it. Just saying. But only if you sold it, you could have bought a Tesla with it. Hopefully somebody had the sense to sell some of this. The thing of it is that there are use cases that are starting to come about. We talked about the Mavericks and trying to make a use case for it. I just can't understand something that's diluting. There's 10,000 coins added to this every single hour of every single day. Eventually the buyers are going to run out and this isn't going to end well. And that's the only way that I can see this.
Yeah. Yeah, potentially. Yes. I mean, it's like, how long can this hype last? Yeah. I mean, there's going to be some people making good money just off the swings of this. If you're a good investor and like you have good sort of fundamental strategies. But yeah, I agree. It's just, it could go to $1 though.
It could, but it would have to, like, all of the people that bought this to drive it up to 45 cents a share would have to come back in droves to get it back to $1. Because the dilution, and that's what a lot of these people buying it, they have no idea why they're buying it other than the fact that somebody told them to buy it and that it's going up.
Yeah.
And I mean, they don't understand that it's being diluted. They don't know anything about how that operates and how that works. In the stock market, when you're issuing shares, I mean, that's one big difference when you look at something like Bitcoin, right? Because there's a finite number of coins. Whereas Dogecoin, it's completely different. It is you're just continually adding coins to this, so you're creating more liquidity, which devalues the coin constantly every minute of every day. And so I would say this type of dilution is even worse than any stock that you could end up buying.
Yeah, for sure. What's interesting, and I'm reading a comment here, Nate, and I don't know if Nate's joking or not, but he said, "Why did I buy Ethereum? I should have bought Doge." First off, you should be up on Ethereum if you bought Ethereum. You should be doing well in Ethereum, and you're talking about a matter of days.
Yeah.
Like, tell me a month, tell me 6 months, a year where we are in this. There's a bunch of stocks that run hundreds of percentages, right? Like, that triple-digit percentage isn't uncommon. This is just what everybody's talking about. Yep. My thing is common sense. I've talked about common sense a lot this week. Here's the thing with common sense. Think about this.
It's not all that common.
Think about this. That's true. When you think about the richest people in the world, when you think about the most successful people around you that have the most money, when you think about anybody who's seen success financially, no matter what it is, doesn't have to only be the stock market.
Yeah.
How many are lottery winners? How many are Dogecoin holders or what, whatever? How many are those people? The reality is they don't exist.
Right.
And don't think that now's different. yes, you might have. How many are people who won a ton of money in Vegas and now have quit their job independent wealthy? Are there people that see success? Sure. But most people, it's not this like they strike gold. Most people, there's time put in, there's energy put in, there's patience, they're playing the long game. And this type of stuff, if your mentality is, man, I got to find the next Doge, you're probably not going to win. The odds are heavily, heavily stacked against you.
Yeah, 100%. Next thing that I kind of wanted to talk about before we kind of get into earnings, Tesla had a hell of a day yesterday. News came out over the weekend, and we briefly spoke about this on Stockwatch Sunday and kind of thought that it was a nothing burger. Investors thought otherwise, and in my opinion, they were flat out idiots. I think, we've seen this story before play out. Oh, another Tesla car catches on fire, and somehow it's not operator error. This, while tragic, seems to be, again, operator error. So if you guys don't know the story, Tesla car crashed in Texas over the weekend. It appears as if there was nobody in the driver's seat. NHTSA it was investigating this, and the Texas police are investigating this too, requesting information as far as whether or not the autopilot was on. Turns out that this was selling off like crazy yesterday. And then right after hours, at about, I would say, 5 o'clock or so, Elon Musk comes out with a tweet replying to somebody about how they don't understand how this is an issue because full safe driving has a lot of parameters around it. Autopilot also, you have to have your hands on the wheel for after 10 seconds, the autopilot disengages. If somebody's not sitting in the driver's seat, the autopilot disengages. So there's a lot of questions surrounding around this. Elon then responds and says something along the lines of that your research is better than Wall Street Journal's, and then says that, yes, it turns out that the 2019 Model S that got wrecked did not have full self-driving capabilities, and basically backed up all of the things that he had mentioned about how autopilot cannot be engaged under certain parameters. And so then the stock goes climbing right back up. This morning it went all the way up as high as 737. It has pulled back with the rest of the market, but it still looks pretty damn good. And a sea of red, this is one of the few green ones today.
Yeah, I was really pleased at how it held up even before Elon responded, staying still above 700, and then the fact that his comments came out. Yeah, I feel really good about Tesla heading into their earnings.
I do too.
And so we'll see how that responds. I think for the sake of YouTube, if Tesla comes back and goes off, then all of YouTube will do better for it.
Yes.
All social media, Twitter, all of it.
I agree.
In that same vein, big companies. Let's just touch on Apple real quick. I don't think there's a ton to talk about before we get into Netflix. But Apple had a product day. To me, I thought it was kind of uneventful. Yeah. They redesigned iMac. They iPad Pro, re-envisioned that. So, like, they're upgrading that. Apple podcast subscription model, not, whatever, going after Spotify. Yeah. Nothing that's very surprising. And like MacBook colors, like offering different colors, which is fine. No big deal. Certainly it doesn't, I don't think anything should happen with the stock other than it's been up recently. So it may actually, there may be some profit taking, but we have earnings soon, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. What I want to say.
Big earnings week next week.
Yeah. So I think it's just kind of sideways till next week. Nothing really came out. What I did want to say about iPad, because people were getting excited about it, speaking from personal experience, I think eventually the iPad replaces the tablet replaces your laptop. Like the way they're clearly they're trying to do that, where like you can have a base, you can pull it off, and it's detachable. But I will say, getting the highest end version of their last iPad Pro, it is not close enough to it. Like they're nowhere near that goal. Right. And so I'm not sure this model does it. When they do that, that's huge for the company. But that's one thing I will say. I think there's a little bit of sort of cracks in their armor that they're showing. Not anything that I worry about long term. But I mean, all in all, I don't think anything really came of that of today and the launch. Nothing surprised me.
I'm not sure that anybody else was really surprised either. And I briefly had looked at on CNBC just to see what people were talking about, and it seemed as if the sentiment wasn't really like anything should be all that exciting. And really, Apple needs a catalyst at this point. It's still going to continue to roll up, and obviously we have earnings next week, so that could be a catalyst here. But, we like Apple anyway. It's an absolute monster. If it still continues to consolidate and keeps the trend, we could see a nice little break above 138. And then if that happens, then technically speaking, this looks really good. But we need a catalyst to get it up there, and earnings could certainly be that. I don't think this event really was going to get it moving in the first place.
I'll tell you what I think is going to be a sleeper this year for Apple, and you guys can mark my words. To me, the revenue from their credit card,
Yeah.
I think that's going to be huge. High margin.
Yeah. All the credit cards are high. Yeah.
So high margin for them. Subscription. High margin items is going to be the theme of the year for Apple, not products.
Yep.
And specifically their Apple Card. And I think there's going to be a high adoption rate on that because the way they set it up, I love it. I think they do a great job with their rewards program. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of things to look forward to as far as Apple's concerned throughout the rest of the year. I'm essentially just talking about the short term, about that we need some sort of catalyst in the short term. But yeah, I agree with you. I think we always talk about how Apple is just a buy and hold no matter what. So
yeah,
no reason to believe that this doesn't continue to go higher. I will say, though, along with Apple and some of the other ones, we talked about just the market. I just kind of wanted to revisit this, that there is potential for Apple to correct just slightly, as 95%, I think it was 90 or 95% of S&P stocks were above their 50-day moving average last week. And so, it's, which cracks me up because everybody and their mother is coming to me and saying, why is the stock market crashing? Like, what are you talking about? What stock market are you looking at? But
your portfolio's crashing.
Yeah. There's a difference. But yeah, I think this is a correction, and I want to make myself clear because I put out a video that caused a lot of controversy last week about how I don't think the stock market's going to crash this week or this year. And so a correction makes a lot of sense. The S&P had 6 days in a row of green over the last 6 trading days, and then Monday happened. So I think that don't be surprised if we do see a further correction. However, we get some really good response from earnings, and I think that could potentially cause this to turn around. And speaking of earnings, we got Netflix after hours.
Yeah, Netflix is interesting. Netflix has missed earnings 4 quarters in a row.
By the way, I feel like I crushed that transition.
Yeah, that was a great transition. They missed earnings the last 4 in a row, and they actually have really high estimates, $2.97, which is huge. They haven't actually estimated. Oh, no, they did estimate $1 to $2, but they have not cracked actual $2 yet, and they're going for $3.
Yeah.
So that sounds like a recipe for disaster, for failure,
yes.
which is 4 straight quarters, and then you're trying to record set earnings.
Yeah.
$2.97. What is your prediction, Brad?
$2.97. I think they potentially come in at $3.11.
Wow.
But so that's a beat. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, they're looking to potentially, did they raise rates or they raised it? So they raised rates. They're also talking about potentially limiting the amount of people that you can share logins with even further than what they already did. So am I bullish on Netflix? I'm still on the fence here. And the reason is because of growth. I think that they could probably increase their margins if they do the things that we think that they're going to be doing. But growth is going to be a challenge for them. Active subscriber rate is going to be a challenge for them, I think, this quarter. They beat earnings 2 quarters ago, but the stock gapped down because of a drop in subscriber rate.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be something that's definitely talked about. And then there's the original content side, which we just talked about right before we went on air. I think that this is something that could be a huge factor for Netflix and how they articulate what they're looking for in original content moving forward through the rest of the year. I think is going to dictate how the stock acts after hours.
Yeah, I actually think they're going to miss. They must know something I don't know. Well, clearly they know something I don't know. But for them to do that, that's bold to come in at $2.97. But I'm going to just say slight miss, $2.89. If they come in at 311 and your prediction is correct, I actually think this stock could go off.
Okay.
Because that's incredible.
Yeah.
And I think, and if there's also a revenue beat, that's sort of the contingency on it. But as far as beyond today and the next couple of days for a sustained uptrend, I do agree with you. It's got to be growth in subscription, international. I think we'll hear some international conversation. I do think new content is around the corner because we talked about that show Lupin.
Yeah.
They've already filmed, so their next season is coming out soon. Last Kingdom.
Oh man, I can't wait.
They've been filming.
I've been waiting for the Last Kingdom.
Yeah.
It's like my top 2 favorite Netflix shows.
Uhtred, son of Uhtred. I am Uhtred of
I'm dying for some Uhtred in Ethelfled's bosom.
I'm going to start saying, that's how I'm going to start introducing myself, like Uhtred, son of Uhtred. Zoom, son of Zoom. But
I'm going to start telling our significant others that we appreciate their bosom.
Yes. Luckiest. Uhtred is the luckiest son of a gun. He gets another woman every 2 years, and the next one's hotter than the last one.
It's so true.
God, that guy just has it made. But anyways, if it comes in above 3, I actually think this thing's going to send it.
Yeah, it's possible. Definitely possible.
But I do think the original content is coming.
I think, that's definitely going to be a big thing that I think investors are watching after hours on that. And we even talked about Queen's Gambit, which was an awesome show, too. So there have been a couple of them that maybe have gotten some people talking, but we really want to see how they're going to be moving, creating new content, original content moving forward, because the competition is getting stiff. With Disney Plus, we got HBO Max, even Paramount, Discovery Plus, all these other streaming services that are coming in, and the space is getting very crowded. So we've always felt as if Netflix was king, but man, I think that the market share could be creeping in on Netflix too. So that's definitely, there's a lot of factors here, which is why I'm like on edge with it, and would be nervous if I was a shareholder of Netflix. Yeah,
as we roll into market close, and we'll check the Netflix earning reaction, which will be probably 5 to 10 minutes after close.
I know Arfin's on it.
Arfin, you got it. I'm not even competing anymore. I just want to bring up Shreem's question, because I know people are in Clover, so I want to talk about it. Not sure if you're followed up on your analysis of IPOF. If not, can you talk about it? And Clover, thanks. So I want you to talk about Clover, but I want to bring up sort of what I talked about with IPOF in our level 3 yesterday, which was we talked about Clover and everybody kind of piling in and like whatever. We've been on it. And for me, I'm allowing this to play out. I'm not worried about Clover. And I know some of you may say this feels like Rocket, and maybe you're right. But to me, it doesn't feel like Rocket. I don't think it's the same situation.
No.
It's very different.
Yeah.
Which Rocket's a buy. I'm sorry.
It is a buy.
But I do think it's very different. And I'm not worried about Clover, but I'm going to be patient with this. I've wanted to be patient with this, and I know what my price target is. Beyond that, though, my point is that was a common sense trade.
Yep.
Everybody can get into it now. We've been looking at that for months. But I got into it in February, end of February, beginning of March. So to me, I'm looking at the next thing. And the next thing to me is logically, if you look at Social Capital, you look at Chamath, I think they've been quiet because they're waiting for the dust to settle. And I think the SPAC announcements, IPO-D and IPO-F, are around the corner.
Yes.
So to me, I'm playing chess and I'm moving on to IPO-F. I'm staying in Clover, but I'm more focused on what's the next thing. That's IPO-F. So logically, I think now that the dust has settled a bit, and now Clover's back in favor, I think Chamath says, okay, now we can announce it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a question of not having a partner because they already filed for their next 3 SPACs. I think it was a question of poor timing, and you don't want to announce this merger when Clover's getting its ass handed to it.
Yeah.
So I think IPO-D and IPO-F are about to make some major announcements in the next 3 months, and I think IPO-F is the one to be in.
I think that it makes sense. IPOF is the largest funded SPAC that Chamath has up to this point. as Netflix is currently dropping right now. We'll take a
It'll
look
be
at the
green in a
chart.
second.
Right now it's down 5.10. It's down around 7% after hours. Give it to me, Arfin. Give me those numbers.
No way the numbers are in already.
But
it's a fake out.
But to your point, yeah, no, I think
500?
IPOF, IPOD, they're definitely ones to. It is really dropping now. They're definitely ones to take a look at for sure, because eventually the SPACs are going to come back. And Chamath isn't an idiot. Like, he understands the climate. The climate that SPACs are in right now. And I think once the dust settles, the cream will rise to the top. And we've always felt like Chamath was the leader in this space. And anything that he is behind is definitely makes me want... It's definitely one of the first cases of conviction for me. It's like, okay, if Chamath is behind it, then it makes me want to investigate this further.
Yeah, for sure. Man, this 500 mark broke below that. What's the next support? I'm really tempted just to...
Right now, Netflix is at 487. It's down over 10% after hours. It is crashing hard, folks. Right now, I'm just looking at let's go back out to the 4 hour. I don't know why. Give me extended hours on daily charts. Something. But yeah, it is definitely below support at 496 and falling. Next area that it could potentially come back and retest, maybe around 485, and then if it blows past that, then we could see 460s. But yeah, it's down 10%.
Damn.
There we go. Arfin says Netflix Q1 earnings per share 375 beats 296. That's
375.
I'm telling you, it has something to do with those subscriber counts.
My God,
they crushed earnings.
That's bananas.
Beat on earnings per share and sales. Thanks, Arfin. Appreciate you. Arfin, if you can find the subscriber count, I would love that. Somebody find that for me.
I just scooped up a share just for the hell of it.
Fat Man Zoom is in Netflix, people.
So this is for the long-term Weibo account, which is a full position size is $1,000. Full disclosure, $1,000. So only one share.
Yeah.
Will get me a starter.
Daniel Camarena, I saw you mention that you were here earlier, and I meant to say something, so appreciate you reminding me. Daniel Camarena is in the house at the FedEx office. Warehouse.
Every time
FedEx warehouse.
You say his name, I think about the Macarena. I swear to God, that's what I think.
We love you, Daniel. Thanks for hanging in, tuning in.
I'm glad. The one thing I will say, I appreciate Netflix. It came out quick. Info came out quick. Usually we're waiting around here twiddling our thumbs. That's probably the quickest we've gotten that info. Other than didn't Snapchat leak their earnings? Somebody leaked it.
Stitch Fix came out like a day early by accident.
Oh yeah. So other than that, we're usually waiting around here twiddling our thumbs. So we're good.
Here we go. Thanks, Arfin. Says Netflix added 4 million new subscribers in first quarter below expectations. That's why it fell. Yeah, I figured that's what it was. 4 million instead of 6 million.
Ooh.
Yeah,
substantial.
So that's a pretty big miss on subscriber count. It's always the major metric for Netflix is that subscriber count. So
for sure.
Obviously that is a huge earnings beat. So in my opinion, I think that when the dust settles here, and it looks like Don Fran from the Don Fran Show, what's up, my man, got some at 490. There's potential for this to fall lower.
Yes.
So just because Don and Fat Man Zoom ended up buying it doesn't necessarily mean you should, but there's definitely, with a 10% drop, there's certainly potential for this to just be an overreaction. We could see this move up because that earnings beat is incredible. And I think that, like we've talked about, with them increasing the price, limiting how many people can share their password information or their login information, I think this is great stuff to impact their margins, their profit margins, which should add value to this company. So the bottom line is what really matters for the most part. But once people kind of get over this this subscriber count, I would also be curious to see what their churn rate was over the quarter too. Yeah. How many people actually stayed with Netflix and how many people just actually left? Yeah. That would be something else that I would love to know as well. But if all of that comes in free and clear, and really the only reason this is falling is because of subscriber count, then I would remain bullish on Netflix.
Yeah, and guys, definitely be careful with this one, especially if it gets below that 477.
Falling down, now to 483. It's down 12% after hours.
But also, as they go on, remember, as you go, this is confirmation bias here.
Yeah.
But as you go on in the earnings call, there's other information that comes out. So this is early.
Yep.
So we've seen moves like this, and then it could come back in general. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Look at that RSI.
Appreciate you, Arfin. You the man. It's our resident earnings guru, whatever you want to call him.
And in other news, Doge is trying to come up, down 17%.
Yeah, it's at 33. Happy Doge Day.
All right, man. I think we're good.
One last thing that I wanted to bring to the table was Penn National. Had a lot of people asking about Penn specifically, so I figured I'd just address the elephant in the room. I am still in Penn National. My convictions have not changed because the company has not changed. Really, all this is, in my opinion, is just continued selling off because we have no catalyst. And we're still waiting officially on the March Madness numbers and how this is impacted. At this point, I don't think they're going to share that until we see earnings from them, which aren't until early May. If I'm not mistaken, I think last time we saw earnings from them was early February. Is that right? Let's see. Let me just double check here. Yeah, so February 4th. So somewhere around early May is when we're going to see Penn National. So there could be a little bit more pain here. Either way, this is ridiculous. We're getting close to the 200-day moving average, so we could, which is sitting at 78. I think that there is the potential for it to come down and retest the 78 area.
Yeah.
However, I don't know how likely that is.
Sure.
I think that we're seeing some potential slowing of selling here at around 85 to 87. So maybe this could be the bottom, but you just never know. I just want to prepare people that there is a possibility it could come down. It has not changed my position. It has not changed my conviction about the stock. I think that Penn National closes at all-time highs by the end of the year. I'm still saying $200 is a very distinct possibility. One thing you need to remember is that we're only one quarter through this year. There's so many things that can go on that are going to play in Penn's favor. People talk about how, you know, some of the casinos, especially the reopening, and how that's going to impact casinos, and they're all bullish on those. Penn is also a regional casino, and people kind of fail to realize that. So they have the sports betting side, yes, which is going to be a little bit slow because all we're looking at right now is baseball and some of the NBA. But, you know, and we have the NBA Finals will be coming up soon. But, you know, this is not just a sports betting play. This is a casino reopening play as well as sports betting. So there's so much going on for Penn. Jay Snowden came out, you know, in their last earnings and said that they have every capability of being profitable this year, but they're choosing not to because they want to reinvest in order to prepare themselves for this great reopening, which I think is a wise decision. When you look at some of the other sports betting platforms, they're spending money hand over fist on advertising and marketing and everything else, where Penn is saving money in that area to be able to leverage their Barstool crowd, which is 70 million plus. So I still feel bullish as ever on Penn. My stance has not changed. I'm going to endure the pain. And I think that if you were to ask me, I think that it makes sense for you to do the same.
Bro, I had two friends that have been waiting to get into Penn, and I called them today. I'm like, yo,
Now's
get
the
in.
time.
Yeah, so like if you're not in it, I think this is a great opportunity to get into Penn. I agree with you. One note about Netflix, Arfin said that he just put in that they also raised their Q2 guidance.
Okay.
Which is nice. So, yeah, as far as Penn's concerned, these are the tough ones. These are the tough ones to sit through, and there's not much sort of news going on to justify this move. Sometimes this happens.
Yep.
But the reality is I don't think the conviction changes. And like I said, at the end of the month, by the end of the next 2 months, we're going to have 2 more states open, which makes me really bullish on it as well. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. I mean, my average is at 116, and I'm not flinching. So feel really confident about this. So that is going to do it, I think, for us guys. Anything else from you, Fat Man Zoom?
No, everybody pray for Netflix to be open over 500 tomorrow.
That's going to do it for us guys. Yeah, Netflix is trying to come back here. It was down as low as 12%, now up 10%. After hours. We'll continue to keep an eye on that. That's going to do it for us, guys. Tomorrow's video, we're putting a video out at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and it's going to be on growth stocks that are also dividends, that pay out monthly dividends. Yeah. And you're going to really like that one. So they're nice and cheap. For the most part, there is
Yeah,
one
for
that's
sure.
under $10 per share that pays a monthly dividend and is a really great growth stock. So we like that. You'll like this video that's coming up tomorrow. So make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to get notified when that video comes out, and hit the like button on the way out if you guys enjoyed today's stream. We certainly love you guys for hanging out with us and spending your afternoon with Own the Chaos. That's going to do it for me, Fat Man Zoom.
Bye.
See you guys. I quit this bitch.
I quit this bitch.